Welcome to the ROI Masterclass, the podcast where vision meets strategy and bold moves create measurable results. I'm Liat Siegel, interior designer and ROI strategist with 17 years of experience. I help businesses transform properties and ideas into high-performing assets. This show is specifically for real estate investors, hospitality operators, and boutique developers who aren't afraid to take risks, challenge the status quo, and demand a return on every decision they make. Each and every week, we talk with innovators and leaders across industries about the strategies and the insights and really all the unconventional thinking that turns potential into profit every single time. If you believe that smart design, decisive leadership, and strategic risk are the keys to real ROI, you're in the exact right place. Let's dive in. Today, I'm joined by Mike Puma, president of Century 21 Begins and CEO of Empower AI. Mike operates at the intersection of real estate brokerage, development, and technology, overseeing 10 to 50 million plus in transactions while building AI-driven tools that help agents, investors, and operators make better decisions at scale. What makes Mike especially interesting is that he's not just talking about AI from the sidelines. He's actually and actively building and developing technology inside a live brokerage environment, using it to help agents grow their businesses, support investors, and drive everything from ground up condo hotel projects to nightly rental investments. Today, we're unpacking what actually works, what's hype, and how real estate is changing from the inside out. Thank you so much for joining us, Mike. I'm excited to hear your background, and AI is like really driving everything today. So I think your presence today is very exciting for that reason. So tell us about your background. How did you get into what you're doing, and what are you doing today?
It's been a journey. So I actually started my kind of entrepreneurial career at 17. So I created a business with my older brother, who's 6 years older than me. And we had this idea. I played baseball through college. And at the time, there was no really Amazon wasn't there yet, right? So it was not selling much more than like books at that point. And e-commerce was really not at the scale that it was today. And so we saw a niche because places like Sports Authority and Dick's were around, but they were selling kind of cheap sporting goods. So we saw an opportunity for high-end sporting goods, the quality stuff that people wanted to touch and feel. We saw this opportunity. So we started a sporting goods store, grew that to multiple locations, and I ended up selling that at 22 when I came out of school. And so then I had this epiphany of like, all right, now what, right? And so I ended up working my way through into private equity. And in that process, met my now business partner and became partners with him about 11 years ago in the real estate space. But what I learned in the private equity, because we were investing in everything from e-commerce to dermatology to veterinary. I mean, you name it, right? We were finding these opportunities and investing in it. So what it really taught me, though, very early on was that, to me, the industry was second, right? And I know that's contrary to what a lot of people say. The product, you have to care about the product. You have to love the product. I disagree. For me, I have to love the people that I'm doing it with. And so for me, it was always about the team. Who am I doing this with? Who am I on this journey with? And so I learned that very early on. And that's really been my thesis across business, has just been aligning myself with partners and people that I really enjoy being around, that are really smart and capable. And if I do that, then we're going to have a lot of success. We're going to have a lot of fun. And then the product to me is secondary because I just enjoy growth. And so that was kind of my journey, and that led me into real estate. But my background, even in the private equity space, is really on the tech side. So that's really where, for me, it became about speed. So I actually taught myself how to code because we had a development team, and I'm a very visual person. So I'd want to see things, and I'd go to my development team and it wouldn't look the way I wanted it to look, or it wouldn't work the way I wanted it to work, or it was taking way longer than what I wanted it to take. And so I became impatient. So I just started teaching myself how to code, and eventually that has paid off, right? So now here we are. We built a full AI platform in the real estate space from the ground up, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. And we've got, thousands of agents and brokers on that platform and changing their businesses because of it. So it's been a really fun ride.
That's so exciting. I have so many questions for you because you've gone from, sports goods to tech to real estate. What is the through line for those, what seems very different industries? And how did that manifest? And you brought all of those things together.
Well, that's why I say, for me, it's been far less about the industry. To me, it's really just, it starts with problem solving, but also what's the mission, right? What's the end goal? Where are we trying to go? And then can I envision a way a path that I can help it get there. And so for me, a lot of the principles are the same, right? Where if we just stop debating about things, we move quickly, we acknowledge when we make a mistake and we move on, and we accept the risk that when we're moving at a fast pace, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to break stuff. That's okay, right? You have to be okay with that. If you're not okay with that, then that's the wrong philosophy to have. And as long as everybody around me and the team that I have is aligned with that and we just go, then we can move extremely fast and accomplish a lot of things. So for me, that's really been it. And so I've just constantly been putting myself in a position, whether it is investing in derm, whether it's investing in mattresses, which we did, investing in vet, investing in e-commerce. It doesn't matter. To me, it's all about, okay, where are we trying to take this company? Where is it now? How is it moving? Where are the opportunities? Where are the pitfalls? And let's go. And do I have the team around me that can move at that pace? If we have those things, we're good to go. So that's why I say it's more to me about the people, the team versus the industry itself.
So it's fail fast, fail forward. And the through line is really building the systems for scale.
Yeah, absolutely. If that's the goal, right? Again, it's the goal. And then accepting that maybe your vision doesn't align, right? And that's okay. There have been investments that I've passed on and opportunities that I've passed on because I sit there and go, they're going to not want to do that, right? We've passed on opportunities with publicly traded companies. Why? Because they move slow and they have a lot of red tape. And I understand why they need that red tape. They have boards and they have things that they're held accountable to. Perfectly understandable. That doesn't align with what I want. And I know that if I take that client on, or I take that position on, or I take that investment on, I'm going to be frustrated because I'm going to want to move at a pace that they're not going to move at. So rather than even go down that road, waste that time and frustrate myself, I'm just going to not take that. And I have to be okay with the fact that I've given up wealth. I've given up opportunities at times because I don't want the frustration that I know, just being self-aware, that I'm going to have if I went down that road, right? So you just have to know who you are and how you like to operate. And I think if you're very aligned with those things, you can make some really smart decisions.
Absolutely. I'm such a junkie for scale and for systems. I think that it's really the only way to grow. And I love the philosophy of failing fast because in entrepreneurship, in business, you will fail. Like there is going to be disappointment. Sure. 1000%. Like if you could bet on anything, you can bet on that.
Not 99% of the time too, what got you there is not going to be what gets you to the next place, right? It just isn't. And so the second you become romantic about what got you there, you're dead. And so for us, like that's why my business partners were really intriguing in the real estate space because I've been partners with them for, 11, 12 years. They've been in this business for 37. But, I can guarantee you that real estate 37 years ago, and we've built $1 billion brokerage, right? We did over $2 billion in sales last year. They wouldn't have gotten there if they were like, all right, let's just keep doing what we did 37 years. Like that wouldn't have worked, right? And so they're constantly changing and evolving, and they're never romantic about what got us there. In the same way that, if AI is getting us to this next phase, if tomorrow that shifts to something else, cool, I'll shift to whatever the new thing is. I'm not romantic about AI. I like AI. I think it's got a lot of opportunity. But if that shifts tomorrow, I'm shifting with it, right? There's no tie to the thing. There's just tied to where we want to be in the growth. And so I think as long as you're okay with that, you'll be fine.
I think that what you're talking about is really being innovative and fast to adopt too, and to pivot when necessary based on what's happening in the market. Do you think that is the major Achilles heel for business owners, investors, developers, operators in holding them back from really achieving the success that they initially started with, like their dream, they dreamed of?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because it's hard and it's scary. And I know this thing and it got me here and it's working. And a lot of times that's the pitfall, right? Is that it's not working. Like we're seeing a lot of this right now. And you have a lot of advertisers. I was at a marketing conference recently giving a talk and, you ask the room, so many of them, these big retailers and companies, they're still doing PPC and they're holding out hope. And it's like, well, it's not working. Yeah, but it's costing you 20 times what it was costing you. So it's not working, right? But they're so they're just holding on to this strap because it's hard, right? And it's scary to say, oh shit, well, what if I stop doing that, right? If I stop doing that, I'm going to lose that revenue. And if I lose that revenue, my investors are going to be upset. And my investors get upset, then they're not going to fund the next round. If they don't fund the next round. So I understand the mindset and I understand how people get there, but I 100% agree with you that that is the exact reason that they won't get to the next stage.
So what is that thing that they need to pivot to from PPC? Is it the AI search? Is it what you're offering in terms of your AI? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think it's different for every business, but I think it certainly in the search game, it is 100% AI search. And I'm not saying they need to allocate 100% of their budget to that, but if they are not paying attention, the data is staring them right in the face saying, hey guys, there are way more people searching now in ChatGPT or Perplexity than there are in Google. Like that's just happening, right? And more and more and more. And we saw this happen. This is the funniest part. History is always an indicator of what's to come because we saw this before. How many people search YouTube now for video content to how to do something? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you would have gone to Google and said, how do I change this light bulb? Right? Now you're going to go to YouTube and do it. So that shift happened and now it's happening again. And now you have a lot more people going to a large language model and typing a search in versus using Google. And so that doesn't mean everybody's doing that. I still use Google from time to time, but I'm certainly doing a lot more of my search on the large language model. So because of that, you just have to respect the fact that their attention matters. What you care about doesn't matter. And if that's what matters to them, great. I'm going to go give them more of that. And I've got to go figure out how to play that game. And if I'm an early adopter, I have an advantage because I can screw up why nobody's really watching and why there's far less search happening. It's better to screw up now than wait and be like, all right, I'll just wait until that gets a scale. Well, you've already lost, right? So that's the problem. And people want to wait until it's a proven thing versus that's why I say we don't debate. Like if we have an idea is like, hey, we think this might happen, great, do that. That doesn't mean we're not going to also and do this because this isn't completely broken yet, but we're not going to sit here in a room for 3 months and be like, what do you think if we do that? Or what about, no, do it. It's either going to work or it's not, or it's going to work, but maybe not work the way we thought. And now we just got to tweak it a little bit, right? So that's to me, I just don't think there's any alternative. I think you just got to go.
Absolutely. I think facts don't care about your feelings, right? The numbers don't lie. You can only get those facts by real world experience, by being out there and getting feedback from the marketplace. The marketplace is going to tell you what they want and what they don't want and which direction to go in. And if you're not engaging them and you're not figuring out and adapting to what that is, like right now, design has shifted from just aesthetics and beauty to experiential, right? You have to have the amenities. You have to have that experience, that emotional driver. That's when the facts are emotions, right? It is feeling, but it's from an aspect of what is the data telling us. I would love to hear your theology, everything that you believe and have built up until now. How does that impact what you're doing today with the brokerage, with AI? I'd love to hear more about the software. What does that look like on a day-to-day basis and how you are so different than the next guy or gal that is doing the same thing, but you're doing it in a completely different way?
I think we're just looking at it from a very practical perspective, right? And I think a lot of people are scared about AI. We were on with a very large brokerage that we were rolling out the other day, and there was an agent on there that was very fearful. And they're like, well, AI scares me. I get it. I have 2 kids. AI scares me for a lot of reasons with that, right? And there's a lot of really scary things that are already happening with AI and some that may definitely some still to come. With that being said, if we're fearful because of that, that's one thing. If we're fearful because we think it's going to take our jobs, that's a different conversation. And that my thesis, at least around AI specifically, when it relates to our business and real estate, is that AI is not replacing the job. It's replacing the task, right? And so I look at the job of an agent is to simply guide and build the connection and human to human relationship with the client on the other side and guide them through that transaction and that emotional roller coaster. And along doing that, there are tasks that have to be done. Now, if I can automate and use AI to automate those tasks, then I can spend more time doing the actual job, which is actually the human to human connection and relationship, which AI is not going to replace. Where a lot of agents have screwed up though, is that they've made their value the task. They've made their value that I can send you and tell you how much your home is worth. They've made their value, I can open the door for you and show you where the kitchen is. I'm pretty sure you can figure that out for yourself. That is not my value. value, right? I've actually sent clients to homes and said, hey, another agent's going to meet you there. My value is not showing you that home, right? It's not. If you really want me there, I'll be there. You can tour the home and let me know what you think. My value is once you say yes, I'm going to get you from there to the finish line in the most quickest, fastest, most efficient and effective way possible. And I'm going to back you the entire way. That's the job, right? And that's the value. So I think sometimes we misplace our value. Sometimes we misbrand ourselves. But I think if we take a step back and realize that, and why we built our platform was, if I can help our agents and other agents train better, market better, prospect better, and automate a lot of the tasks that go along with this job, then I'm going to free up way more time for them to build stronger relationships with their clients and get far bigger results and better results long term. That's my thesis. And so far it's proven to be true. But I understand there's fear around it. Just it's something that is coming whether you want it to or not, and technology will always win. So for us to sit here and act like it's not coming or put your head in the sand, I'm sorry, it's coming, it's here. And so we have to now find ways to leverage it.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard Tony Robbins speak the other day about, he was already predicting this back in 2008 and saying like that it will take over jobs, but we have to, as a society, train ourselves in a different level, just like the Industrial Revolution, right, changed so much. It's our job to constantly skill up and improve so that we can adapt ourselves and create the value in the marketplace, right? When the value has been robotic on, people doing tasks and stuff like that, we now become, when we skill up, we become more valuable. It challenges us to provide better and better service. And I love what you said about, it's not the task that's the value, it's the relationship, right? It's how can I also make the deal more profitable? You're guiding them through that in a way that AI cannot.
If your job, which there are jobs, if your job is the task, it is going to get replaced. It's not a matter of it's going to get replaced. It's just a matter of time, depending on what that task is, it's going to get replaced. But if your job is not the task, then I really don't think it's going to get replaced. And there are, again, like there's a local retailer here that, went pretty much, they took a lot of crap, but they pretty much went to all automated checkout, right? Just like a lot of places are going, but they keep one checkout aisle. And the reason they keep one manual checkout aisle or human checkout aisle is because that guy has been there for 25 years. Everybody knows him and he makes it an experience, right? Now, he has figured out that his job is not checking you out. His job is to make sure you have the most amazing experience at the end of your journey at that store. And so he makes the most memorable part of that store when you leave. And he has a relationship with every single person who comes in his checkout aisle. And then you will see a line at that checkout while there's literally open self-checkouts right next door. Why? Because he realized that if my job, my value is not scanning the item, right? Somebody can do that themselves. And they do. My job is, can I make this moment right here at the final minutes of them leaving this store as memorable as possible and build a relationship with every single person? His job's relationship building, and that's not going to get replaced. So I think that's where, as human beings, we just got to take a step back. Now, if your job's in an auto plant and that job is the task, yes, you're going to have to figure something out. That's going to get replaced. But I think by and large, we just have to understand where is the real value, and have we misunderstood our job versus the task? So that's my thesis, at least.
Tell us about the AI and what specific tasks it replaces and helps to automate.
Our AI platform is really built for the agent. So it takes kind of the daily friction points that agents deal with. And we've got tools built specifically for every type of agent. And we understand agents' business ebbs and flows, right? If I'm a brand new agent, having tools for listings doesn't really help me because I probably don't have any listings yet. So I need to focus more on prospecting. So we have prospecting tools, right? Tools that will find contact information, tools that are going to write scripts, tools that are going to automate a lot of that, right? So we have those types of tools. We have CMA tool that in 60 seconds, I can build a CMA. Now, once I get that listing, now all of a sudden I care about listing tools, right? So now I have tasks that go along with that listing. Well, we have a tool that is a listing package generator generator. So I put in the address, click one button, and in 60 seconds, I get a complete listing package done for me. So I get the listing description, I get bio done, I get the blog article, I get the social content, I get emails written for, I get all of that done for me in 60 seconds, right? And so those are tasks that all need to get done on every listing that normally might take me an hour to 2 hours as an agent to go and do individually, that is done in a minute. So I just gave you at least an hour back of your time to, again, actually go build a relationship. So we have a bunch of different tools in there like that kind of help with those different tasks, depending on your business, and it's going to ebb and flow. We have content creation. We have all these different things. So the way we've kind of broken our tools out is we know the daily friction points basically surround marketing, creating content, because you'll hear from real estate agents all the time. I got into this business to sell homes. I'm not a marketer. I don't have a marketing degree. I get it. So we have content creation tools that allow them to create content and brand that content on demand to themselves. We've got tools that then help them prospect. How do I find homeowner information? How do I connect with them? How do I role play, right? So we have a role play. We have our entire platform is voice enabled. So anytime I can click a button, have a conversation with a coach and build a plan, detailed plan that's customized to me, what I'm willing to do, what I'm not willing to do, come back anytime, converse with that. So I literally have a real estate coach, a Tom Ferry in my pocket at all times. We've got a trainer in there that I can train on any topic and say, I'm really trying to understand DISC and VAK and how do I connect with the person better? We'll train them on that. We have a voice bot that will train them on that and role play any scenario you can think of and then give you feedback at the end. So all of those things are in there, and it's just, again, surrounded around trying to make an agent market better, prospect better, train better, and then from there, hopefully execute and get more business.
I love that. It's like a marketing degree in a box.
Yeah, essentially. It's
marketing and sales.
Yes. The only thing I physically can't do is make you go do it, right?
Right.
I'm going to take every other excuse away.
I love that. How are you seeing like the actual listings, from the design standpoint? We know that when a property is staged nicely, that it sits on the market for less time and offers are higher and buyer confidence is higher. With the marketing in a box, right? The agent in a box, you can create all these beautiful posters and social media content, but if the space isn't set up to then have those visuals on that marketing material, are you seeing that affect listings? Are you seeing that being an issue that needs to be solved? And how are you doing that?
So we definitely have a virtual staging tool that allows them to virtually stage. So it can help. But what I always tell the agents, listen, that's in some ways that's like putting, lipstick on a pig. You can only go so far. And sometimes that can work against you because it almost is disappointing. If I go on and look at it and I'm like, oh, that home looks really pretty. Let me go see it. And then even if I know that image is virtually staged, you've set my expectations up here. And then I walk in and it's not that. Now I'm completely disappointed. So, we usually say, guys, use virtual staging in a limited way, or for a room, maybe that's a difficult thing. The tool we built and the reason we built it this way is that when you design it, it can take any room and it'll virtually stage it in 8 different designs and then give you a slider, an embeddable slider. So now as a user, I can actually see the current room, which may be very pretty. And then I can slide across, select whatever design I want and slide across and see the room transform. And the only reason we think that adds value is because you may have a beautiful house that's coastal designed, but I'm more of a minimalist, right? And so I don't love that coastal design, even though so now I can see what it would look like with my taste, right? So there's some pluses to that type of stuff, but more often than not, the home is not beautifully designed and it is cluttered and it is. So that's where, I think to your point, if you're not investing in that property, then you have to understand that you're giving up and value and that it may take longer and time is money. And a lot of times on these properties, there's holding costs. And so what is that, right? And so it's easy math. This is a problem. Most people don't do math, but it's easy math. If I sit there and I say, well, that property is costing me $2,500 a month, right? And if I don't stage this, staging is going to cost me $5,000. But if I don't stage it, it's going to sit for 3 more months. Well, guys, that's $7,500, right? So you can start to do the math to realize like, all right, well, I could spend $5,000 and get it sold, or I could cost me $7,500 and maybe I'll get it sold, right? Doesn't make sense. So the math says go virtually or go stage that house and make sure that it looks at its best. So design is a huge part and absolutely affects home value for sure.
And not just like the 7,500, it's also like, what is the offer going to be? Is it going to come under? Are you going to have maybe offers above if you stage it the right way? Like I always love, especially with staging, pulling things back so that the potential buyer sees themselves in the home, right?
Absolutely.
And taking out the personality, take out the personality. Just, you only need a few key pieces, fresh coat of paint if necessary, curb appeal, right? There are key things to do so that when you go and take the pictures or you have them on the marketing material, and then that 3:30 and that first 3 seconds that a person sees it online, they're wanting to, take the next 30 seconds, the 3 minutes in person and see the property, right? Engage and actually give it a chance. And I love what you said about the lipstick on a pig, because I absolutely feel that way about virtual staging. It has its place and it's great for certain things, but you have this online to offline experience where the first time they see it online, they have to experience that same thing in person. Otherwise, you're losing the trust with the customer. And I think it's a really big deal.
Well, we've all seen it, right? We've all been on, you booked that hotel room because you saw the ad and you're like, oh my God, look at those views. And then you get there and the view's not what it was, right? And you're disappointed. It's the same thing. I mean, you're setting them and yourself up for failure when you do stuff like that.
Right. Or trying to buy it. Like for me, when I go on Pinterest and I see a dress that's beautiful and it's from like a Chinese company and it comes in and it's a little doll dress,
Yeah, exactly. I completely get it.
So what are you seeing in terms of what's next with the real estate industry? I know that you're heavy on AI. What are things that kind of like our investors or agents are blinded by, and how can they navigate what's next?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be, I believe, one of the best years real estate's had in a really long time is this year. When we start seeing some of the macroeconomics that are taking place, right? And I don't want to get political on here at all because it doesn't matter whether you like the current administration, don't like them, doesn't matter. What does matter is those decisions affect you in one way or another, especially in a real estate space. So when we look at what, they're talking about doing, infusing $2 billion into, or $200 billion into the mortgage industry.
So how does someone up-level their skills in terms of like learning and understanding the market and the numbers, and also getting really good at the relationship side of things? Is it just fail fast, fail forward?
Possibly, but I think with those types of things, those aren't necessarily when, like, we break for our agents it down to skills and then action and accountability, right? And so skills, in my mind, that can be trained on. We offer a lot of DISC training and VAK, and we train in our brokerage. We train every day. People think we're crazy. We have a training every single day for our agents. And the reason we do that is because everything's changing every day and we need to stay them engaged. And if we know that if we show up, we're setting the tone for them to show up. And if they show up, they're going to do more business. So that's how we've always looked at it. So I think the skills can be learned, whether it's through our platform, whether it's going on YouTube, whether it's, if you have a good broker or a mentor, like you need to lean into those people and find people who are better than you are around you. And I don't care who that is or what voice that is, go listen to them and go build the skills. Once I build the skills, then it's action. So now I need to actually go do things. I need to go talk to people. And that's where those skills start to come into play. And then it's accountability. This is the biggest piece. Like this is, to me, like it's the number one reason why you see the average agent does 3 deals a year. Like it's the number one reason. Because they are not committed. They're interested. They're not committed to whatever goal they set. And worse, most of them haven't even set a goal. And the reference I always like to tell our agents, that'd be like you getting in your car. You say, I want to drive over here, somewhere you've never been. You put in that address and then your GPS doesn't route you at all. It just says, all right, there it is. You'll be there eventually. Start driving, right? You would never do that. You'd be pissed. You'd be like, where's the route? Like I want 4 routes, right? I want to know which one's the best route to go. You would want the route. You would want turn by turn. You would want directions. But so many agents come in, they're like, I want to do 72 deals. Okay. Like, do you have a plan to get there? Right. And so we spend a lot of time building that plan. And then more importantly, really diving deep into why do I want that? Right. Is it some arbitrary thing? What am I doing this for? And we call it the toddler syndrome, because every time you give us a reason, we're going to say, why? Right. And it's like my kids used to do when they were little at the store. I want that toy. No, why? And I'd have to give them an answer. And eventually they would keep asking me why. And eventually I would give them the real answer. Right. That's what we call the toddler syndrome, because that's what we do to our agents. Why? And we make them keep asking themselves why, because eventually they're going to get to the real reason that they're doing this. And until they get there, the second they hit that first speed bump, they're going to stop, right? Unless they're truly committed to it. And then they're going to keep going and they're going to find a way. And so that, to me, if I had any advice to agents, get super super clear on your goals, get really committed to them, and then honestly, you'll find a way to get there. But those two things have to happen.
I love that you support the agents in that way, that accountability and helping them goal set, because that's literally everything. And the analogy, it's genius. It's genius.
Yeah.
My son absolutely had that why.
Oh my God.
Stage.
It's powerful though. It's powerful because you start to realize like, man, like I can't just give them the no answer. I got to actually start justifying this, right? It's powerful if you do it right.
For investors out there that are looking to get into hospitality, whether it's a new build or repositioning a property, do you have any advice for them in terms of challenges that you've faced, things that you've struggled with that you've learned a lesson from, or that you're working through right now?
Build some expertise yourself a little bit, right? Make sure you do your research. Don't, unless you're going to, and again, everything can be done. You just have to understand the potential risk or downside that comes with it, right? So if I just am looking for a safe investment into the real estate space, and maybe I just want to have some multifamily or some sort of investment portfolio in my overall portfolio, go buy into a fund. There are plenty of REITs and things you can buy into that you don't have to be hands-on. You don't have to have any expertise. You find someone that's proven time and time again that you can invest in their fund, and you'll do that and you'll get small return over time. That works. If that's what you're wanting, go do that. If you're wanting to get more hands-on in investing, especially in the hospitality space, especially in like anything from a commercial multifamily, even, nightly rentals, things like that, then it becomes some level of expertise and understanding realistically, what do I want my returns to be and where are my downside, right? For us, the only mistake that we've made as a company has been when we get away from our core investment strategy, which we've done over the years, we don't do anymore, but it's, for years, we've done a ton of development along the Gulf Coast. And then you get some really good returns, you get really good at it, and then you're like, oh, I could do this anywhere. And next thing you know, you're doing one in Central Florida, and that doesn't go the same way that it did on the beach. Well, why does the beach work really well for us? Well, because we have occupancy rates that at their lowest are at 75 or 80%. So our ability to create a return for the investor is very high. We don't have those same level of occupancy rates elsewhere, right? And so if I'm in the heart of Tampa, I don't get those same level of occupancy rates. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't invest in Tampa, but it means you have to have a very different strategy. So I think it starts with like, as an investor, what am I wanting to get out of this, right? Am I wanting to get a high cap rate? Am I wanting to get a high nightly return? Am I wanting to get my money back in a year or two? Am I wanting to, we have some investors that say, you know what? I want to buy a beach house. I want it to be free for me. Basically, I just want to break even for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Then my kids are going to be old enough, or I'm going to stop vacationing, and then I want to sell. But I don't want anyone in there while I own it. However, I want it to be have the ability to be nightly rental, because when I go to sell it, I know that I can either sell it as a residence or I can sell it to somebody who does want that nightly cash flow, right? And it opens up my buyer pool. Well, that's a different strategy. So again, and then you have people that are going to buy into our autograph collection and they want to be completely hands off. They don't want to touch a single thing. I don't want to think about furniture. I don't want to think about I don't want to think about anything. I want to own it. I want to get my 6 to 8% a year return, and I want to never go there. I don't even need to know it exists. I just want it to run and they operate it, and then I get a check in the mail. Now, are you going to get a much smaller check? Yeah, you are. But you also don't ever have to think about it, right? So I think it's just really important. And I guess everything that we've talked about today kind of goes back to just being super self-aware. What capital am I putting? What is my risk appetite? And what am I expecting in return, and how fast? And as long as you know those things, then you can start to navigate that market pretty well.
Yeah, it goes back to the why. Why are you doing
Absolutely. Everything starts with why. It all starts with why. Yeah.
Simon Sinek.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't that Simon Sinek's book? Everything starts with why. Yeah, I love him. I love that thought. Yeah, absolutely. It does. It really does. And the problem is those people lie to themselves. So you have to be really honest, right? So many times I talk to people, they'll tell you something that they want or why they're doing it, and you realize, no, that's what they think I want them to say, right? Or they think that's what their spouse wants for them. And what I'm trying to get people to understand, what do you want? What do you want? Really? Like, not like spouse, not this, not, because until we get there and can have that honest conversation with yourself, you're going to be in trouble.
There's so many golden nuggets. Can you summarize for us your top 3 tips, whether it's for agents or investors, that our audience can take away from our conversation today?
Yeah, I think for me, the top 3 really are, number 1, start really getting self-aware. Really focus on that why, just what I just said. Focus on what you really really want and what you're actually going to get committed to. If you do that and start there, you're going to be in a really good spot. Step number 2 is do not get romantic about what got you to where you are today, and make sure because that will hold you back, right? So if I cannot do that, then I give myself all the opportunity in the world to grow. And then the last thing is just be patient with yourself, right? And give yourself grace. I have extremely high ambitions for myself, and I'm one of those people that I hold myself probably more accountable than anybody else. Like, I've been married for 20 years, but my wife's my best friend, but she often gave me more grace than I would even give myself. What I've learned recently though is I need to be more forgiving of myself too, right? Like, it's okay if you don't hit that goal, just ask why, right? Just do the research, figure out what happened. So for me, it's been over the last few years, especially, is just because I do like to go. So it's kind of contrary to a lot of things I've said today, but also just being really patient and have that ambition, but also just be forgiving of yourself. Don't kill yourself if something doesn't go exactly the way you thought or as fast as maybe you thought it would go.
I love what you said in terms of the grace that you need to give yourself, because I am also very much that way. High achiever, go, workaholic a bit much. And I love this quote from Alex Hormozy, because oftentimes, especially what you said in terms of like failing forward and failing fast and just doing it, right? Just do the action. Oftentimes we expect that it's going to happen faster. And so Alex Hormozy says, the sooner you accept that it's going to take longer than you want, the sooner it happens faster than you expect. Yeah. So I literally have it on my screen in my work mode, when my phone goes on to work mode, to remind me of that, because it's tough when you're an entrepreneur that just is running and just wants to see those results. But I think one thing that I've learned from talking to so many amazing people in real estate and hospitality is that it's all about connection, networking, and community. When we have the people around us, like you said, with your business partners, that you're working in unison towards a certain, a specific goal, it happens faster than you expect.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it all comes down to intent. And that's, I got asked, I did a podcast recently, and they said, you've been married for 20 years. What's the secret? It's an intent. I know that even in the middle of a fight, my wife's intent would never be to hurt me, and my intent would never be to hurt her. And as long as you know that no matter what, the other person or your own intent is in the right spot, then when you make a mistake or something didn't go, you can literally use that as your compass to say, what was my intent though? Was my intent in the right spot to make that? Yeah, it was. I did everything I could have to make that work. It just didn't work. It's a lot easier for me, at least, to forgive myself, because I can say, all right, I came from the right place with it. It just didn't work out. Now I can forgive myself. That used to be something I struggled with big time, because when I would go, and then something would not work the way I thought. And now it's like this big, deep regret. And that would sit with me. Now it doesn't, because I can literally just say, you know what? Was my intent in the right spot? Yes, it was. All right, cool. Let's move on. Let's go. Right. So that, I think, is important. So I love that quote. That makes a lot of sense.
I love that. I love it so much. Amazing. Thank you so much for all your wisdom and your tactics that you shared with our audience today. I think it's really going to give them the competitive advantage that everyone needs in real estate. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us.
No, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.